So this is Louis, and this is going to be a fairly laid-back review of Blade Runner 2049. I don't know if I've really talked about this before, but I do consider myself to be a fan of sci-fi. I grew up with a whole host of sci-fi movies, and that included Blade Runner with Harrison Ford. I have been a long-time Harrison Ford fan, and that includes the old Blade Runner, and that includes movies like The Fifth Element, which I'm sure many of you have seen with Bruce Willis. As you know, I'm a big fan of Bruce Willis, so I'm a fan of sci-fi. And I have no problem with long, more intellectual films. I have plenty of even independent films that I own in my person that are long, that I have slow pacing, and are intellectual, that have, dual meanings and plenty of like subtle metaphor and in-jokes and dark humor and that sort of thing. And that does exist in Blade Runner 2049, but it is obscured by really bad pacing and some of the worst acting that I have seen in quite a while. One of the big things that I have to say up front is that I understand what Hollywood is. I understand what they want to do. I understand the reason why they're casting certain people. I know why they're casting Batista. I know why they're casting fucking Ryan Gosling and several others. And I have no problem with Dave Batista being in it. I have no problem with putting certain people in movies to add star power to the movie. I have no problem with that, even if it's just a cameo. However, the problem with this film is that Jared Leto was garbage. The Wallace character, the main antagonist, the central antagonist of this film, was garbage. Absolutely, not just underwhelming, just bad. Bad, ineffective, just awful. When you look at films, I can't begin to tell you how villains make or break a movie. And in this movie, I am not afraid of Jared Leto. I don't hate Jared Leto. All I see is fucking Joker from whatever the fuck, the Suicide Squad, okay? That's all I see. That's all I see in this film. It is ineffective in such a way that it weighs down the fucking movie. So that, at the beginning of this, I'm just going to tell you, is terrible. And it is one of several elements of this film that is overtly fucking bad, where I have no idea what they were thinking when they made this movie, okay? I just don't get it. I don't get what the fuck they were thinking. Like, maybe it looks good on paper, but in practice, I'm surprised they didn't scrap this fucking film and start it all over again because of how ineffective it was. There was no reason to get rid of the Tyrell Corporation. Absolutely no reason to do that. I understand that Tyrell's dead, but you can't then have a plot in the movie, a subplot, where you basically have Wallace say, well, I'm the new big bad guy in town, and by the way, maybe Tyrell designed all this, despite the fact that it included a massive economic recession, a collapse of his own corporation, and his own death! What the fuck were the writers thinking? I understand if you want to say that there's a collapse and all the rest, but you can't have the bad guy saying that, oh, he designed it all. That makes no sense. It makes no sense on its face. This idea of trying to have the bad guy include the notion of fate, unless it's ironic. Unless this is supposed to be an ironic thing that I'm supposed to laugh at because it's so obviously chaotic. That this guy thinks he's in charge of everything, that he understands everything, when this appears to be a complete fluke. It doesn't appear to be anything that is deliberate. Despite the fact that in the movie, they overtly say that this is all pre-planned. And it's like, yo, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. Maybe that's how they basically justify coming to the conclusion of making this about a child, and I won't say whose it is because it's a spoiler, but, like, one, this has been written before, this has been done before, none of this is new, the separation, the line between synthetic and human, this has been done before, and it's been done effectively elsewhere and not in this goddamn film. What were they thinking when they wrote this? Jesus Christ. And I want to say that not all of this movie was bad. The pacing was terrible, but not all of this movie was bad. And I will say that the aesthetics, once you left LA, Or at least when you were on the ground, it was okay. But once you left LA and you went to the spot called Treasure Island, which is basically take Las Vegas and then put it in Chernobyl. That's essentially what it is. It is Las Vegas or Reno in Chernobyl, where it's been abandoned because of radiation. And our protagonist goes there to meet Harrison Ford. That's a minor spoiler. But I say this because in Treasure Island, it's actually very cool. It's very aesthetically cool, and I enjoyed it. There's a bee part where he goes and sees some bees. Maybe that's a metaphor about life after death, but who gives a shit? I get it. You're smart. You're so smart. You're so above me. You're so highbrow. Let me fly out to California so you can lecture me about what a peon working class pleb I am. I get it, okay? I've seen shit like this before. This is not my first sci-fi movie. The bee part was stupid, but everything else... You know, being in an abandoned theater where you have Elvis playing, putting a coin in a futuristic jukebox where you watch Frank Sinatra play, that's great! That's aesthetically awesome! And especially because it's like you're in this wasteland where there's no one anymore, and this used to be a bustling, you know, Bioshock-esque kind of city, and now it's all dead. Everyone loves the, like, dystopian kind of wasteland sort of thing. That's why we play Fallout. You know, people like that shit. There's a natural draw that people have to it, especially in this day and age to it. I understand why they did it. It was effectively done in this movie. Big thumbs up. Thumbs up for Treasure Island, for that location in the film. Great. The problem is that you have 2 hours more of movie. And for that 2 hours, it's almost entirely ineffective. It's almost entirely drawn out. It's not done well. The aesthetics aren't very great. There's some cool parts every now and then, but the neon... misty mystique of the first film isn't done well. Like, I don't care to see the sky very cloudy and just have endless shots of him driving around in the mist. I don't care about the mist. Do it once, do it twice. Don't do it again and again and again and draw it out for 5 fucking minutes. That's not how you pace a film. We've seen it already. Show something we haven't seen before, which the first film did over and over again. You saw new location after new location after new location in the first film. They didn't do that. They kept revisiting LA again and again in this. And every single time, it's like, listen, we've seen this more than once, probably 5, 6, 7 times already, and it wasn't effective the first fucking time you did it. Why do you continue to do it? It's like I'm driving, or you're driving through the rainforest where you can't see shit other than mist. It's not aesthetically pleasing. It's not new. It's not fresh. It's not interesting. Why do you keep doing it for so long and so many times? The repetition is ridiculous. So, yeah, if I didn't already complain about it, Ryan Gosling was terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible in this film. I don't understand why this is getting really good ratings, why there's people praising Jared Leto, there's people praising Ryan Gosling. I don't get it. Even Harrison Ford wasn't that good in this. What are you talking about? The acting in this movie was fucking subpar for just about everybody. This was not a good sequel, if you want to call it that, to the first film. It wasn't. You can't just push star power in this film. If you're going to do it, make sure it works well. I won't even get into the beginning of the film because it drags so badly, but there's so much baggage added onto this film, and it makes no sense. I can't even get into the plot without spoiling it. I don't want to do this because it's a new movie, but it involves, again, the separation between synthetic and human, and it is not done effectively. It's not a good plot. It's not a good plot. Why did you write this into the film? Why? It's not interesting. And they have a whole... And what's funny is that they do exactly what has been done in every single fucking sci-fi movie. We're the rebellion. We're the rebellion. We're gonna stand up against the evil corporate overlords. We're the rebellion. Look at us walking with our fucking dark trench coats. Yo, okay, this is not fucking 1999. I've seen the fucking Matrix already. Why? Why does this continue to be written over and over again? I have seen this multiple times in the distant past. Why do they keep writing it when it is completely fucking unnecessary to include it? What a fucking train wreck of a story. Incoherent plot holes at numerous points. Incoherent fucking dialogue. And just needless plot tacked on that goes nowhere. Nowhere. As if this is supposed to be a fucking Star Wars movie that's going to go into the exact next one where it's like, yo, you just had a 3-hour fucking movie that bombed in the box office. And you think that you're going to come up with another sequel to add on this? No, you're not. So why include the fucking rebellion part where it served no purpose? You didn't need to do that. They're going after a child to hide the child, then just hide the child. You don't have to include any kind of rebellion. It is ineffective and unnecessary, and it has been done over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It is extremely fucking tried and just done, run into the ground. Like, it is over with this rebellion bullshit. Okay? Jesus Christ, another sci-fi movie with a rebellion. Oh, let's rebel against the slave masters, the corporate fucking oligarchs. How new, how fucking original. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Who wrote this and why? So I'll mention this because I fucked this up at the beginning. It's actually Robin Wright, who is known primarily with Kevin Spacey in House of Cards. And I think that, like, I don't mind her acting that much, but I think that she's used as basically like powerful woman that you need to take seriously, and she's only so good as an actress. Like, I don't hate her. I don't think that she's necessarily that bad an actor, but I definitely think that this was a political hire and that she is not as effective as people like to pretend she is. She's not that good of an actor. She's a bit overplayed, in my opinion. I don't dislike her, but she is a bit overplayed. I think that they could have found somebody better for this role, somebody more effective, or just written a better character. Maybe that's the problem. The writing was so bad that, Wright, in this instance, couldn't do anything right because you need a fucking actor, or a writer that can actually write a fucking plot and a character. Because none of the characters in this film were actually well developed. None. Absolutely zero. And that's a problem. That's a problem in a 3-hour fucking movie. You need to write better characters. You need to write characters that I'm invested in, like you did in the first fucking film. You did it with multiple characters. You had people attached to them. That's why you play up the nostalgia in this movie. You know that to be the case. You fucked up. You fucked up in this movie with the character development. Terrible. Terrible on so many levels with so many different characters that you failed to distinguish in the way that you needed to make it impactful. Failed to do it. So I'm going to wrap this up because this is just a lot of complaining. But yeah, I got to say that if I were to, and I saw this in IMAX, if I were to give this a recommendation, I would say to wait until it gets out of theaters to, watch it. There's just not enough to it to justify the purchase price of going to the movies. There just isn't. It's just not done effectively, and it's long. It is a long fucking movie. Clocking in, I believe, at 2 hours and 44 minutes. Long fucking movie. And there's just not enough there. Again, I will say, if anyone's seen it, you probably agree with me that the Treasure Island part of the movie was great. But everything outside of that, hit and miss. Really hit and miss. And there's a lot of fucking bad pacing. And a lot of needless garbage. And especially with the AI, Ryan Gosling's fucking AI, you got to develop the character to make me care. I don't care for caring's sake. You have to make me care about characters. You can't just include them for the sake of, adding time to the runtime, which you really shouldn't have. I'm not saying don't include it. I'm saying include it, but actually write a better character and better characters. Really ineffective. Most of the movie, really ineffective. Few parts actually well done and I liked, but it had a lot to do with aesthetics and maybe sound, which was worse than in the first film, I'm sorry to say. So yeah, I really can't justify seeing it unless you're a massive fan. Otherwise, watch it when it's out. Just be prepared to sit through a long slog, because there's a lot of this that doesn't work. And I hope they don't do a sequel. I don't like doing sequels to movies that aren't functional. I don't want to reward the people that made this movie just because I like the original. I like sci-fi. I like the original. This was not an effective sci-fi movie. Maybe that's why it's bombing at the box office currently. So, yeah, I'm sorry to say, but fuck, man. Write a better movie, make better characters, and then I'll go see your movie twice to try to justify a fucking sequel. This movie doesn't deserve a fucking sequel. Let it die, come up with a new IP, and make it better than this movie. And that's all I have to say. Thanks for listening.